Assalamu alaikum, welcome to 9 p.m. English News brought to live by Télé The headlines for tonight are Djibouti, Tunisia, the first economic and investment conference. International news, the Agency for World Food Crisis and Emergency Announcement a rise in global hunger. That was the headlines, and now welcome to the national news. The Embassy Place Hotel hosted today a conference who brought together Tunisian and Egyptian businessmen who are considering expanding their fields of activity in various sectors such as education, medical, public works and construction, agriculture, transport or renewable energy. Said Mohammed has more updated.
Is scheduled to was opened by the Prime Minister Mr. Abdelkader Mohamed Kamel within the presence of the Ministry of Investment Mr. Ali Gela Abu Bakr and the President of Chamber of Commerce Mr. Yusuf Moussa Douali. A large delegation of Tunisian women and businessmen, altogether a total of 35 people, arrived in Djibouti to prospect the key sectors to promote an economic partnership between Djibouti and Tunisia. This delegation is led by Mr. Bassam Loukil, who said in substance that even if they are from any small countries of the great African continent, Djibouti and Tunisia have decided to join forces, their asset and their vitality in the race to development. Tunisia created in 2016 an economic council for Africa to promote exchanges and serve as a bridge between Tunisia and the African continent. In his welcoming speech, the President of Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Yusuf Moussa Douali, recalled the excellent relations of friendship and cooperation existing between Djibouti and Tunisia. These cooperative relations are, according to him, a multi-sectoral, historical, and a privilege between the notably in such diverse fields as education, health, or trade. Mr. Yusuf Moussa Douali did not fail to recall that a memorandum of understanding was signed between the two countries' chambers of commerce. The President of Chamber of Commerce spoke in his welcoming speech as the following: "Dear members, we are convinced that it is a such meeting that the conducive circumstances to important actions are created. Your arrival, dear partners, is part of a period favorable to trade and investment in our country, which is marked by the anchoring of its position as a logistic platform for the redistribution in this part of the world."
The President of the Tunisia delegation did not fail to remain the existing relation between the country enlisted since the country's independence and many more years to come. Let us listen to him for more information.
Tunisia and Djibouti, two small countries of this great African continent, rich in natural and human resources with economic and cultural potential, have chosen to combine their strength and vitality in the race for development. The victory in this challenge is crucial. It represents the future of Africa and its children. Few decades ago, our two countries established close relations in key areas such as science, economy, energy transition, and especially education. After your independence in 1977, Tunisian school professors came to teach in Djibouti, but in the past 30 years our roads have been separated. Let us now find ourselves and energize ourselves to win the last battle, that are development and prosperity for our two people. We are happy and honored to find ourselves today in a friendly soil to establish the sealed partnership between Djibouti and Tunisia. We must act in a win-win situation, since our two countries can rely on a young, hopeful and bubbling population of innovating ideas and open to new technologies. The ambassador of Tunisia in Addis has expressed as follows. He says that the relation between the two countries is becoming closer and closer, and did not fail to remind that we live in a situation where globalization has changed the economy of the world, but also the transaction. He said that it's better to walk hand in hand for a better, bright future for our two countries.
The Minister in charge investment, Mr. Ali Abu Bakar, for his part, recalled the exit of the Republic of Djibouti, in particular its geographical positioning and the major investment made recently to the strengthening its infrastructure. The Minister in charge of investment mentioned that the relation of confidence existing between Djibouti and Tunisia, arguing for a strengthening of economic exchange in order to build a really strategic partnership. More details in his speech.
This first edition of Djibouti-Tunisia Conference is a milestone in the economic and social development of our country. It can build on the basis of mutual trust between our two countries. It is therefore incumbent upon us to contribute to the strengthening and consolidation of our economic exchanges in order to build a true strategic partnership both between our two countries and our two private sectors, which will be a source of wealth creation and job. Our government is convinced that private sector initiatives will have to play a leading role by focusing on the different driving fields such as energy, industry, transport, or infrastructure development. This economic conference is an opportunity to facilitate meeting between private operators around the business to business so as to exchange the different opportunities and investment projects in the Republic of Djibouti.
The Prime Minister Abdulkader Mohamed Kamil, for his part, invited the two sides to explore this possibility of a new cooperation emerging from the traditional channel of commerce by looking for original and new reason for the product of the two countries. Let us listen to his speech.
Trade and relations between our two countries have been accelerated considerably in recent years and even in recent months. Tunisian expertise in the field of higher education and health have made this sector an example of this cooperation, which our students already appreciated. But your presence here in number and in various qualities depict a desire to diversify the cultural and economic ties. Bear in mind that this is the will of the Djiboutian government, but also know that this is the will of the Djibouti economic operators, as they wish to develop all the possibilities to strengthen our economy. It is by putting together our economic potential and our know-how that we, Djiboutian and Tunisians, will emerge winners. This synergy will make us stronger in an increasingly competitive economic world. The Djiboutian transport system, the opening of Djibouti to economic groups such as the commercial market, its banking sector and its tourism are the undoubted opportunities for Tunisian know-how in the field of tourism, fishing or industrial processing, for example. I invite you therefore to explore all the possibilities of a new cooperation by leaving the traditional commercial circuit and by looking for original patterns and new horizon for our productions. Let us imagine partnership between the Djibouti and Tunisian private sector, and of course, but also between the Tunisian private sector and the Djiboutian public sector. Everything becomes possible when the goal is to create jobs for our youth. It is necessary to explore all the ideas, to study financially all the solutions you will retain, and to remain in close contact with the private sector as well as the Djiboutian public sector.
The Minister of National Education and Vocational Training, Mr. Mustafa Mohamed Mahmoud, and the Ambassador of China in the Republic of Djibouti, Mr. Hwanki Fu, have conducted this morning at the signing of the convention for the delivery of the keys of the school fundamental of an excellence fully funded and built by the Chinese government. The ceremony, which was held at the office of the MINFO, saw the participation of a senior executive of the MINFO as well as officials from the Chinese company which built the establishment. The opportunity for the Minister Mustafa Mohammed Mahmoud emphasized the large standing and the quality of the infrastructure equipment of this new education to facilitate unique in its kind from the point of view of the structure, but also the programming that will be delivered. The Minister recalled that this School of Excellence comes from the desire of the head of state, His Excellency Gele, who wanted to keep the country with the school structure appropriate for the best students in the Republic, and also he will find outstanding teaching in disciplines, literary, scientific and technical, as well as in a foreign language. Mr. Mustafa Mahmoud has announced the inauguration of this School of Excellence by the head of state as soon as the first weeks of the month of October next. He finally expressed his sincere thanks to the Chinese diplomat. On the side, the ambassador of the People's Republic of China, Mr. Fu Hongying, reiterated the commitment of his country to further strengthen his support to the promotion of the educational system of Djibouti in the USA community. The President of the National Assembly in Sudan, Mr. Mohammed Ali Hamad, went to Khartoum in the Sudan to participate in the work of several meetings, of which the 19th Conference of the President of the Assembly and African Caucus of Women Parliamentarians. The President of the National Assembly was accompanied for this meeting of a strong delegation of parliamentarian, Jewish parliamentarian and senior framework of administration in the occurrence. Abdi Khairapour, Ilmi Hassan Musa, Ali Hassan Hamad, Lima Bulhan, Hussein Hilafa Aloita Duru, the Umma Muhammad Hamid Idris Muhammad Ahmed Fanal. The ambassador extraordinary and plenipotentiary of the Republic of Djibouti with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, His Excellency Riyadin Rama Hafiz, was received in Jeddah in his office in the Ministry of the Interior by His Royal Highness the Prince Abdulaziz bin Saud bin Naif, the new minister recently appointed the head of the Department of the Interior to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. The hearing was held in the presence of the President of the Organization of the Security and Under Secretary of the State at the Ministry of the Interior and the Minister of the Interior and the Ambassador of Djibouti, who presented the new Minister of congratulated for his appointment as well as the good wishes and congratulated of his counterpart, Jewish counterpart Hassan Umar Mohammed. The strengthening of bilateral cooperation in the field of security between the two countries, proud and followed by the result of the official visit of the Minister Djibouti in Riyadh, was in the topic and discussed the development of the political and security situation in the region. Also, one of the points of discussion, the ambassador presented the prince in the name of the head of state of Djibouti and the government of Djibouti, and then congratulated for the success of the pilgrimage of this year. A training workshop on improving access to government information and its product to needs of users starts this morning at the Hotel Acacia, and Said Mohammed has more.
In the framework of the celebration of the International Day for the Protection of the Ozone Layer, the Ministry of Housing, Urban Development and Environment, through the Directorate of Environment and Sustainable Development, held on September 17, 2017 at the People's Palace an information and awareness raising workshop on the problem of the destruction of the ozone layer. It should be noted that this activity followed the radio speech of His Excellency Mr. Musa Mohammed Ahmed, the Ministry of Housing and Urban Planning and Environment, on the celebration of the International Day for the Protection of the Ozone Layer, in which the Minister announced the planned activities of the day. The opening ceremony of the Information and Awareness Raising Workshop was held in the presence of Mr. Dini Abdullah Omar, the Secretary General of the Ministry of Housing, and Mr. Hussein Rirash Roble, the Director of Environment and Sustainable Development. In his opening remark, the Secretary General of the Minister stressed the importance of the ozone layer and the measures that need to be taken in both national and international level.
The Minister of Housing and Environment yesterday celebrated the International Day for the Protection of the Ozone Layer. A workshop was held in the conference hall of the People's Place under the theme caring for all forms of life under the sun. Let us watch it more for more information.
The Housing and Environment Minister yesterday celebrated the International Day for the Protection of the Ozone Layer, and a workshop was organized at the conference hall of the People's Palace under the topic of care for all life forms under the sun. This workshop brought together several experts from public and law enforcement agencies to take appropriate measures to better protect the environment at risk in our country, as well as the Environment Director Hussein Rirash. The Convention of Montreal Protocol and its amendment are the only international treaties in any field that have reached universal ratification. Through the implementation of the Montreal Protocol, the ozone layer is recovering and will be reconstructed by middle of the century. The Protocol of Montreal is also one of the main contributors to the fight against climate change. Implementation of the Kigali Amendment, which reduced global warming by at least 0.5 degrees Celsius by the end of the century, and thus achieve a quarter of the target of 2 degrees Celsius by the Paris Climate Agreement.
A meeting took place this morning on the adoption of the draft organic law establishing the Code of Territorial Communities under funding. This meeting brought together around the Secretary General Mr. Mohamed Faranje, left and spirit of the mission of international technical assistance led by Dr. Yahya Oulite Gebede, State of Department, the representative of the town hall of Djibouti, the municipality and the regional council in some most concerned and first beneficiary of this legal grooming. During this meeting of preparation have been discussed the accepted result of the second phase of the work of this mission of international experts to support the department delegation responsible for decentralization in the implementation of its road map. Several sporting events have been organized in the region of Ayu. This meeting was started in the day on Tuesday, organized by the association Argena. The competition was consisted of actually several disciplines to know swimming, athletics, basketball, football, and volleyball. This meeting continued until the Friday, and the supporter of the Secretary of the State for Youth and Sports thanked the President of the Association Arkini, Mr. Qasim Ali Mohammed, which is pleased to be able to meet several young people for work in order to prevent young people illness and generally delinquency and to fight effectively against any kinds of drugs. They have supervised this tournament the Prefect of the region Hassan Dabali, the Vice President of the Regional Council Ahmed Ali Mohammed, and the Regional Director of the of Sport Mr. Daoud Ali Mohammed. And note the international news saying global hunger levels have risen for the first time in more than a decade, now affected 11% of the world's population as conflict, climate change and economic woes repeat, UN agencies said. More details in this video.
UN agencies have announced a rise of global hunger level for the first time in more than a decade. The situation has affected about 12% of the world's population as conflict, climate change and economic woe reach uncontrollable levels. Last year, 850 million people were hungry, 38 million more than in 2015. The number of those living in hunger-stricken region began rising in 2014, but this is the first time in more than a decade that the proportion of global population affected by food crisis has risen. About 489 million affected by hunger are living in the conflict-ridden countries. Famine struck part of South Sudan earlier this year, and this is a high risk that the situation might be worse and spread to other countries affected by conflict like northeast Nigeria, Somalia, or maybe Yemen.
That's it for tonight's news. Thanks for being with us and have a wonderful evening.